Welcome into Sideline Morning this week, guys. Hope y'all had a wonderful week. And it's that time of the week again where I bring in my esteemed co-host. All the way from down in Birmingham, Alabama, Mr. Ben Foster. What is going on, Mr. Ben?
Oh, things are going well, Dave. I'm actually doing the show from Tuscaloosa County tonight. So this is a fun twist. I forgot to tell you that in the pre-show meeting. But yeah, I am dialing in from Tuscaloosa County.
What part of Tuscaloosa County? You're not in the actual city of Champions, are you?
I'm not in the city of Champions. I'm in the old hometown, Coleman, Alabama.
Oh, Coleman, Alabama. A whole population of what, 5?
It's got a little bit more than that.
Okay.
It's in the few thousands now.
Okay. And all the way from the House of Mouse in Florida, Mr. Adam Russell. What's going on, buddy?
How's it going, man? Still gorging on Easter candy, so if I talk really fast tonight, then you can blame it on that. All the sugar.
I'm glad you got some Easter candy. I was shortchanged this year, and nobody brought me Easter candy. So I'm not going to name any names, but I'm just saying there's a few people that are on notice.
They know who they are. Yeah.
Do they listen to our podcast? Are you in their house right now, Mr. Ben?
It's entirely possible. Adam, what's the best Easter candy?
For me, it's just a typical cream egg.
Oh, no. The correct answer is Reese's Eggs.
No, I can't do the Reese's Eggs, man, because every time you open it up, it's got that white film on top of the chocolate. I can't do it.
I like both. Those are probably my top two: a good Cadbury egg or a Reese's peanut butter egg. Those are my top two.
Yeah, I was telling my wife actually yesterday. We were talking about that, and I told her if Cadbury came out with their own peanut butter egg, Reese's would be.
It would be better.
So
it would be better than a Reese's egg. And I like a Reese's egg. I just don't think it should be called Reese's because it's a completely different ratio of peanut butter to chocolate.
Absolutely.
I like that ratio better, honestly. I prefer.
If I wanted chocolate to be overpowered by peanut butter that much, I would just make a peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah. And really, it's not an egg; it's a oval blob. Cadbury's an egg. That's an egg.
Well, okay, guys, we're not a chocolate podcast. Although we can talk about chocolate all night because I have a sweet tooth. Even though I'm about to run a half marathon, I still call myself a fat guy. But we're not a chocolate podcast. We're a sports podcast, and a national championship game happened on Monday. And I think we're going to spend, 5 minutes on this because who cares? Really, Villanova won. I mean, we all saw that when they beat the brains out of Alabama.
I think if it had been Loyola, we would be talking about it for 30 minutes.
Probably because they were the Cinderella, but midnight struck when they played Michigan, and they did what I thought would happen and fell.
I even think we'd be talking about it for 30 minutes if it was Michigan. But there was nothing surprising about Villanova. And Villanova trashed Michigan even worse than they played Alabama. Alabama at least made it kind of interesting for the first half. And Michigan, you knew it was over at halftime.
Yeah, you could just see the fatigue creep in so quick. And look, Nova's energy was incredible. I mean, the way that they were attacking and the ball movement. I mean, it didn't seem. The 3-pointers were there. I mean, you saw some of the shots they were taking, but they were definitely creating the opportunities more than Michigan.
That Dante DiVincenzo is something else. Just the way he gets on fire, and it could be anybody else on the team, but it happened to be him in the game where they beat Alabama, and it happened to be him in the national championship game.
Well, yeah, I mean, wouldn't you think, hey, if I'm Michigan, I'm going to watch the other 5 games that have happened up until now. Hey, this DiVincenzo guy comes off the bench, and he's a fire starter for this team. So let's maybe put 2 or 3 guys on him. But
if you do that, then Bridges goes off. That's the thing. Villanova's not a 2-headed monster. They're not a 3-headed monster. They've got 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that could give you 20 points on a good night. And you could go take this Dante guy, take him off the court. You could play your best defense and seal him off. Villanova would still have somebody else that could go off and get the 20, 30 points that he had.
Yeah, I couldn't believe once you started seeing Michigan get tired, especially, beginning second half, mid-second half, you just saw Nova driving down the lane, and there was nobody to challenge it. I mean, they couldn't get in position in time. So even if you did double team them, they would move it around you. I mean, they had it that night. And I don't even think it was close enough where we could even make an argument about what if they'd faced another number one seed, if anybody else had made it through, because just the way they were playing was almost out of their minds.
Yeah, and I think really, though, I mean, if the tournament had gone any different, I think Villanova versus Virginia would have been an amazing game. It's two totally different styles of teams. I still would have picked Villanova to win that game, though, looking at what Villanova does.
It would have been very interesting because Villanova was the strong offensive team and Virginia was the defense first team. Villanova plays great defense, but they're all about the 3-point shooting. And Virginia is the best defensive team in the country. So it would have been very interesting to see if their defense could have matched up well against Villanova or if just nobody could have stopped Villanova. And also Virginia would have been a different team if their sixth man had not broken his wrist right before the tournament. So it would have been nice to have seen a Virginia at full strength in the NCAA tourney.
Yeah, it would have. And I want to pose this question to you guys, and we'll put a bow on basketball season after we talk about our next topic. But how is this 2018 NCAA tournament going to be remembered? Will it be remembered for Virginia going down, or will it be remembered for Villanova's dominance?
I think it's going to be remembered for two things. I think it's going to be remembered for a whole lot of the big names, the big chalk names, getting knocked out early, and Villanova getting their second win in 3 years. I think it's a dual headline. Crazy tournament, but the best team comes out on top in the end.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be remembered just for Virginia going down because it had never happened before. I think the 16 beating the 1 is going to be the story that leads into next year and the next year and the next year because we're now going to be looking at, okay, it's already happened. So what 16 is now going to be the next one to beat a number 1? Villanova won their second championship in 2 years or in 3 years. Great. They were on fire. But I think it's going to be remembered for Virginia dropping the ball and losing to a 16.
Well, you think about that. You think about the hype that a network would throw at this next year, right? And the two things they're going to ask if Villanova's in it would Villanova continue their dominant 3-point shooting, or is a 16 going to come in and take a 1? I mean, I think those are the two things they'll push the hype for next year when tournament time comes around. I think those will be the two stories that walk away from this.
And the way this tournament's remembered will depend a lot on which one of those things happens. If Villanova gets another championship in the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to look back at this second Jay Wright championship and say this was the coming out party for the Villanova dynasty. If we have another 16 seed take down a 1, then that completely changes how you look at Virginia losing. So people will then say, well, that's what opened the door for all these other 16 seeds, and now we're in an era of parity where 16 seeds can take down 1s at any time.
I don't know if we're going to say any time.
You won't say that until it happens again.
No, I just think it's going to be a special occasion on a special night. I think 99.9% of the time a 16 will not take down a 1. I think it just happened to be at that special time.
You say that now, but I mean, it wasn't a special time. They completely dominated Virginia. So another 16 seed could come and have a special time and win by a 3-point shot, like a buzzer beater. That's a special time. But beating a 1 seed by 20 points, that's a shellacking. And if a 16 seed comes out there and wins again, it's not a rare event. And that makes a big difference in how you remember this, is how soon the next 16-1 happens. If it stands for 20 years that this is the only 16-1 upset, that's a big deal. That's something you'll be talking about for 20 years. But if in the next decade we have 2 or 3 more 16 seeds take down 1s, then it becomes a much more commonplace thing. And you just say, and the Virginia game, that was just the first of many.
Yeah, well, something else that's commonplace, and here comes my fun segue. Something else that's commonplace are one-and-dones. Freshmen who come into college and play 1 season and leave. Well, the last 2 weeks we've had a topic of will he or won't he? Will Colin Sexton stay or will he go? I have been on the bandwagon saying I think he might want to stay with his 4.0 GPA. I think you and Adam are both said, no, he's gone. Well, here we are.
We're still saying that.
A week and a half before NBA, you have to announce that you're going to the draft. And there's a rumor and there's a story on AL.com, I think it was today or yesterday, Ben, that Colin Sexton might stay. So was I right?
No, he hasn't said he's staying.
I'm right. He stays. He's staying.
No, he's going to go.
He's going to play at Alabama. He loves Alabama.
Also today, Dave, Alabama announced that there's going to be a press conference on Friday. What do you think that press conference is going to be about?
Him staying.
He's going to stay. That is a huge announcement. If Colin Sexton says, I'm staying, that's a huge announcement.
It's also a huge announcement if he says he's going, because he's going to be a top 10 lottery pick.
But he's not Alabama's first one and done. So why do you have to have a huge announcement in a facility that doesn't normally hold basketball? I think I read in the what you sent today that it's in a facility that is not normally the basketball press conference room.
They're going to be having a press conference at the Malmore Athletic Facility instead of the basketball press conference room that's at Coleman Coliseum, which clearly means they're also going to renovate Coleman, and they've already started gutting the facility, and Colin Sexton is going to be responsible for the renovation. He is going to go pro, not just in the NBA, because student athletes go pro in more than just professional sports. He's also starting an architecture firm. And his architecture firm is going to redesign the basketball arena.
Sounds good to me.
Sure, why not? But in all seriousness, what I have seen, and I think in the article you sent us today, Ben, says that even if he does decide to leave as of now, he is not going to retain an agent. So if he does not retain an agent, he can come back to school.
So do you guys feel like he's weighing out his prospects, may go into the draft and then come back based off of when he's drafted, what the team is, that kind of thing? I mean, why would it have taken this long for him to make a decision?
Well, I think a big part of Colin Sexton, if you know anything about the kid, is his family's really important. And they call a lot of the shots in his life. Not that they're like controlling everything he does, but he doesn't make a decision without running it by his mother and his father, running it by his big brother who played college basketball. And I think the family matters a lot to Colin Sexton. And I could very well see a situation where he keeps a tight circle of just close family members where they act as his agents and managers instead of taking on a formal agent manager, kind of contractual deal. But it does allow Sexton, if he doesn't have an agent, to also say, hey, I'm only going pro if I like the team I'm going to. And that gives him a little bit of leverage that some of these other guys don't. Some of them want to get paid so badly, and they'll say, whatever team wants to pay me, I'll go play for them. Sexton has the opportunity to declare for the draft, not take an agent, and say, I'm only going pro if the shoe fits.
Yeah, and I kind of like that. I love that NBA lets a player do that, and I think that NFL and MLB and NHL all need to look at this because I think it's true. You're playing with the kid's future. One tweak of an injury, one fluke injury, and you have no career to fall back on. So why not allow other players to do this? I think if everything I'm reading and everything I know about the kid, I think Colin Sexton is having a hard time deciding going pro because I think that he's more studious than most of your one and dones.
Yeah.
He's proud of his 4.0 GPA. And if he can do that for another year or two, why not let him?
Because he's in business school. And in business school, they teach you about a thing called the time value of money. And he can go be a top 10 lottery pick and make millions of dollars and then be able to go back to school anytime he wants to. He could even play 1 year in the NBA and have more money than just about any person would have working a whole lifetime. And so he could take that money and come back to school. If he really wants to be studious, go get the money and come back to school and then start a business with that money. But take the money while you can get it.
He can get it next year. Say he leaves.
Not if he gets injured.
Well, he's
not if he has a Ronald Steele type incident where he messes up his leg permanently.
Ben, did you just compare Colin Sexton to Ron Steele? Ron Steele was not going to be a lottery pick. Ronald Steele was not even going to be a second-round pick.
I think Ronald Steele was going to have the potential to play in the NBA. I'm not saying he was going to be a lottery pick, but I think he was going to have the potential to play in the NBA. He certainly was going to go make a lot of money playing in Europe in the worst-case scenario, but due to injuries, that wasn't even a possibility. And now I think he's building a good career in Alabama as a coach, and that's good, but that's not the same money as getting to play basketball.
Where is he a coach at now?
I believe it's a high school in Birmingham. He may actually be back at John Carroll.
Let me pull out the old Google machine here.
Dave's going to be a good Google user. But the point is, I'm not saying that Colin Sexton and Ronald Steele are the same player. I'm not comparing them as players. I'm comparing them as guys that had a guy that had an injury that limited his playing potential and immediately shrunk the ceiling of what his capacity was as a money-making player.
So you're saying that as a business school student, he should understand the time value of money as well as diminishing returns if he were to stay.
Yeah, exactly.
That $1 now is worth a lot more than $1 2 years from now.
This is Finance 101. This is Finance 101 says Collins, a class I'm confident Colin Sexton has taken. I haven't looked. I don't know what classes he's taken, but I feel confident he's taken a Finance 101 course. He should know enough about the value of $1 that he should go to the NBA draft, and he should go. It makes zero mathematical sense to stay in Tuscaloosa.
Well, mathematical sense, correct. But what if he thinks he can bring Alabama to a Final Four? Sorry, I couldn't even get that out without laughing.
Hey, every time somebody throws out something crazy out there about what this basketball program could do, I hear the Kevin Garnett in my head going, anything is possible. And if Sexton did somehow, it'd be almost miraculous for him to stay. I think Alabama basketball could be a very competitive team. But right now the SEC is so good, there's probably 8 or 9 teams that are better than Alabama right now. It's that good.
I've been saying that for the past 3 or 4 podcasts, but you've been laughing at me.
I think this team's going to be very good next year without Colin Sexton. But they've got to compete against some very well-rounded teams.
That is very true. By the way, not only is Ron still the head coach at John Carroll, he was also hired as the athletic director.
There you go. And that's great. I'm not disparaging Ronald Steele. I'm glad that he's doing that. But he missed the opportunity to make money as a player due to injury.
Okay. Well, something else along the lines of Alabama basketball that we need to talk about. So we have been talking about ad nauseum what to do with Coleman Coliseum. And I posted this on the Facebook fan group that I believe it was one of the radio shows down in Birmingham, had Athletic Director Greg Byrne on talking about what they plan to do with Coleman Coliseum. Greg Byrne then said that there are 2 options. Of course, there's only 2 options. Blow the place up or renovate it.
Blow up may not have been his words.
No, but that's my word. Start a new place, get a new Coliseum, or renovate it. He said that it sounds like it might be fiscally responsible to just renovate it. And I'm sorry, that was done 6 years ago, and nothing really changed. Yeah, they got rid of the little flat scoreboard, and they put a hangy-downy scoreboard, which all NBA teams have, and now most high schools even have it. But it was putting lipstick on a pig. And even if he says that they're just going to tear it down to the studs and use the same building, I think it is still putting lipstick on a pig. Take a nuke to Coleman Coliseum, put it in the parking lot, in the huge parking lot there to the back of it, and start over. Yeah, you're going to have some growing pains. I say Alabama should play at the BJCC for a year, play somewhere in Birmingham, and do what they did at Sewell Thomas for baseball.
No, that was horrendous. That was horrendous for the baseball team.
But look at Sewell Thomas now. It is a beautiful, state-of-the-art facility for baseball.
It looks great.
And it not just looks great, it's functionally great, and it's one of the best facilities in the SEC right now.
Wait, you're talking about Sewell Thomas Stadium, the stadium that was there before they did a renovations, where they didn't destroy the entire stadium.
But it had never been renovated before. It had been left alone, and they did nuke the place, just kept the same name. It is completely different.
They kept the entire concrete base of that stadium.
But that's what I get from Byrne's comments, though. I mean, he also said that he knows the bones of it and the footprint of it are good. So it does literally sound like they want to take everything but the structural supports and the foundation and rebuild around it.
I've been hearing rumors. I've been hearing rumors for months now that the plan was to leave just the four walls and tear everything out, dig down, destroy all the concrete on the inside, and completely reorient the seats. And my thought is, who cares if the old four walls are there if everything else is completely different?
If everything else is completely different, I guess I'm okay with it. But there's not much you can do with that building. I mean, that building is a 1950s bunker.
But if everything's different but the four walls, then it's not a 1950s bunker anymore.
But it doesn't even match the rest of the buildings around that area. And so if you're going to do that, why not start over? I mean, so you're going to be without a stadium for a year probably. So where does Alabama play now? You say no to the BJCC, Ben. Where else?
Alabama's 0-3 in Birmingham while Avery Johnson's been the coach. This Vulcan Classic is a great idea, but Alabama has not played well in Birmingham. Also, something a lot of folks don't realize, they're about to take out part of the downtown interstate to completely redo it. So the interstate in Birmingham is going to be closed for 18 months. So if you want to redo the stadium and move the games to Birmingham, you can't do it in the next 2 years.
Okay, so where's Alabama going to play? Where's Alabama going to play when they do this, tear it down to the studs?
Either way, they got to play somewhere, right?
Right, exactly. And there's no big high school arena that you could play at. The only big arena in Tuscaloosa is Coleman Coliseum. I think, Kyle Gilbert on our Facebook fan group said, why don't you put a basketball floor on the Bryant-Denny Stadium field? Sorry, that's not going to happen. Where else does Alabama play basketball?
I'd go watch that.
I know you would. Where else does Alabama play?
The rec center's awfully nice.
No. Do you see a throwback? Do you see a throwback to where Alabama plays at Foster?
No, absolutely not. You couldn't. How many folks could you fit in Foster Auditorium? Maybe 2,000.
Yeah,
you could say only people that buy the basketball tickets to watch basketball come to the games. Everybody who buys it for points for football, stay at home.
Hey,
you could fit them into Foster Auditorium, man.
I'm okay with that. You'll have real fans. I mean, what are they going to do? Go across the street and play at Central High School?
Foster Auditorium's capacity is 3,800.
Which is about a normal Wednesday game. So it'd be a full arena. So Alabama doesn't draw crowds of 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 on the weekday. It'd be a full arena at Foster, so why not play there?
Wouldn't it be an engineering marvel if they gutted Coleman Coliseum and had it ready to go in November?
Hey, let's ask our resident engineer.
Yeah, if only we had an engineer on the podcast.
I know, right?
If only we had a structural engineer on the podcast. I mean, a 50-year-old building to do that much work and have it completely ready to manage a full house in 7 months, I don't think it's feasible. I think you could do it if you're going to do like you're saying with the lipstick on the pig, where you just like renovate a few things, increase some capacity here or there, move some seats around, that type of stuff. But if you're starting from scratch, you're looking at least one season. If you started now, I think.
Yeah. And let's also not forget, we're not talking just men's basketball. We're not talking just women's basketball.
Yep.
We're talking one of the most prolific sports, one of the best sports on the Alabama campus, gymnastics, which is still going right now, selling out Coleman Coliseum. So if you make men's basketball homeless, you also make the gymnastics team homeless.
What if you just rented the Hump in Starkville? That would be closer, and you just played all your games at Mississippi State's arena.
No, I'd rather not.
Just made it Tuscaloosa West.
I hate that arena. Hate that arena.
Well, you're unbuckled anyway, so you don't get a vote.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Or what if Alabama did have some sort of outdoor court, and you got one of those bubble domes like the NFL teams use for their practice facilities?
I love it.
Wouldn't you go to a game there?
I'd possibly, yeah. Why not? That might be fun. A Carrier Dome.
So seriously though, what do you guys think the most likely option is? Knowing that they're going to have to at least do some portion of a season somewhere else, what's the likely option?
I said the BJCC. I mean, there's no other option in the state of Alabama unless they want to play games here in Huntsville. And we saw how bad Huntsville puts a basketball arena on because there's ice under the court and the court gets wet. So you can't play all your home games at the VBC. Mobile, but that's 5 hours away from Tuscaloosa.
You could fly at that point. At that point, you just take the team jet.
Yeah, and you won't have that many fans.
Maybe you just play all road games until SEC play, and you just have the toughest strength of schedule in the country because everything was road games or neutral court.
Well, that buys you a couple of months to get the facility ready.
So November, December, first part of January, you still don't play there, and maybe your first 3 or 4 SEC games are on the road too. You're exhausted, but at that point, then we're talking about like it's April now. This press conference, we don't know what the press conference is about. The press conference is at the Malmore Athletic Facility. It's possible that if the announcement is about renovating Coleman Coliseum, they are already making alterations to the building right now.
No, they can't because there's actually a gymnastics meet this Saturday. It's an NCAA regional. They can't do that.
They could be making renovations to other parts of the building, and then once the gymnastics regional is over, the building's empty. So then the rest of the building gets gutted next week.
When you say the rest of the building, there's not much left. I mean, you've got the big arena. Yeah, there's some underbelly, but then they've also got that's where the team locker rooms are. They've got the cave, but I mean.
Yeah, the cave's behind the Coliseum, so they wouldn't really consider that part of this. But they could already be working, tearing out things like the offices, the basketball locker rooms, some of the basketball facilities. They could be altering all of that already. And you have a 9-month window. You might be able to get a renovation done in that time.
I doubt it. I mean, if you're taking it down to the studs, there's no way.
Yeah, but if you start from the inside out, I mean, we just did something here at the sports complex with the new arena. I mean, if you let the folks know that for however many weeks there's going to be one concession stand and the ticket office is going to be run out of a, portable on the side. And I mean, there's concessions you could make if you focused on just getting the seating and the playing surfaces and locker rooms done first and making everything else a second phase. I mean, it wouldn't be a wonderful experience like it would be when it's done, but you could probably squeeze a portion of it in. The whole thing, though, it's just too much work.
And in the meantime, you could play some roadshow games. You go to Mobile, Montgomery, Huntsville, Birmingham. You don't have to play all your games in one place. You could travel all over the state. And maybe you play some extra neutral court games in Mississippi and Louisiana because those are areas where you want to be recruiting. Maybe you play some neutral court games in Atlanta because you want to be recruiting from there. That's why Alabama brought on Coach Yah to open up Georgia for them. That plus Sexton, you ought to be getting a lot of Georgia guys paying attention. So why don't you try to play neutral court games throughout the Southeast and recruit more teams to come in? It might work.
So Ben, is it your opinion then that the very first thing they tore out of Coleman Coliseum was Colin Sexton's locker?
No, Dave says that can't be possible because Sexton's coming back. So I'm sure I'm sure they've moved his locker to a nice place in the meantime. In fact, if I was going to move Sexton's locker room somewhere, if I was going to make any announcement about Sexton, I wouldn't have it at the Malmore Athletic Facility. I'd have it at the barber shop.
Oh,
I love it.
Segue. That was very seamless. So we have to talk about the barbershop. Yeah. Adam, you say you can talk for hours about this, so why don't you?
It's just I don't understand how he thinks this is something important. I mean, so LeBron James obviously having an issue with the what's it called, guys? Remind me, Shop Talk.
Shop Talk. So
Alabama segments that they're doing out of Bama Cuts, which is the barbershop for the players down there, and they're doing videos now. They're posting on the internet, and he's claiming that there's infringement on the shop segments that he's doing, which follow
the first
same
video,
thing.
the first video from this barbershop in Bryant-Denny Stadium is Nick Saban and Julio Jones and Eddie Jackson and a few other guys that have gone on to the NFL, and they're all getting their hair cut, and they're laughing and cutting up, pardon the pun, with Nick Saban.
Oh, man.
It's a pretty good recruiting tool, isn't it?
And it's a great recruiting tool, but then it's also something that shows a side of Nick Saban that we don't normally get to see. Because the side of Nick Saban that we normally see is what we see in media, what we normally see on the sideline when he's getting sideline warnings from the refs. You like what I did there? But you see that here, Nick Saban kind of loose, cutting up with some of his former players, being a friend, not being this disciplinarian head coach. So why does LeBron have an issue with this with just Alabama? Why doesn't he go after the other 50 barbershop videos out there on Facebook? Well,
I took a page out of your playbook, Dave, and I Googled it. And if you just type in barbershop sports talk, there are actual barbershops called sports talk barbershops. There's actually a barbershop sports talk podcast. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Coming to America. I don't
know if anybody's seen the movie Barbershop.
There you go.
One and
Dave,
two.
Dave, I'll throw one out for you. I don't know if anyone ever remembers the barbershop segments with Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yay, wrestling!
There you go. But this is not something that he has a hold on. And honestly, I think that he's bringing it up because he knows that the visibility Alabama has. By bringing this up about them, it's going to bring people visibility to his podcast. Because honestly, with the way the NBA is right now, I don't know that a lot of people care. And this actually made people care for whatever reason, whether you're caring because you think he's in the wrong or whether you're caring because you think he's in the right. But it gave him an opportunity to get his name out there for something that a lot of people probably didn't know about.
I know you guys were probably wondering, there are actually 3 barbershop movies. There's Barbershop from 2002. There is Barbershop 2, Back in Business from 2004. And then the third movie came out in 2016, Barbershop, The Next Cut.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
How could we forget that one?
Oh.
And now there's Barbershop 4. LeBron tries to do his own thing. I don't understand why.
All of this, we missed the very obvious sports clips.
Oh, yeah.
An entire franchise dedicated to sports and haircuts.
Yep.
So my favorite thing of all this, Nick Saban, who manipulates the media with things he says. Somebody asked him about it yesterday. We're recording the podcast right now on Wednesday. So somebody asked him about it on Tuesday. And Nick Saban said, I have no comment about this. And then rambles on for 20 minutes about it. In a very Nick Saban way, he says, I didn't know you could put a trademark on barbershop talk, but we're going to keep doing it. And I think LeBron James is a great player, but we're going to keep doing it because there's no way that this is his IP, basically. And to which LeBron James just sent a Twitter message out, which LeBron James does best, and he just says, the lawyers will figure it out. If you're a lawyer of LeBron James, do you even take this on? Because honestly, he has no case. This will get thrown out in 5 seconds.
No, I don't think you do. I mean, it's for the publicity, man. I mean, doesn't he have the playoffs coming up soon that he needs to worry about?
Yeah, and they're a 3 seed. They're not even a 2 seed.
For him to spend this much time on it when he needs to be going radio silence, I mean, I'd be more concerned if I was anywhere involved in his business interest in basketball, because it obviously seems like this is starting to take more of a priority than the playoffs. And so, I mean, for him, I would be worried about that if I was him.
To his credit, LeBron normally turns off all of his social media during the playoffs, so he knows he's in the playoffs, so he can goof off a little bit more, and it sounds like he's going to hand it off to the lawyers. He's got no case. That's my unqualified legal expertise coming through there. But there's just no basis to it because, like Saban said, Everybody has a barbershop where they talk sports. This is not something that LeBron James came up with uniquely. Also, shows take on similar formats. You could flip on, ESPN, and there's multiple shows on there that have the same debate format. Fox Sports has shows that are the exact same format. Two guys
Sideline
arguing.
warning.
Hey, now, let's not talk about us. But there's all of these shows that are sports talk shows that have the same format. So why couldn't you have something in a barbershop? You could look at reality TV. I'm sure you guys have somebody in your life that watches HGTV. All of these house renovation shows are the exact same plot. They're just repackaged differently. You could go on any other channel and find a whole bunch of shows that are the same format that aren't stealing from each other. And this is just a case where there's two shows that are very similar. And LeBron should know that because his uninterrupted show is just like the Players Tribune.
Yeah.
He's got his own platform that looks like another sports platform.
So to bring this full circle, and I'm borrowing from what Aaron Suttle said on Twitter just probably a couple hours ago, when a big announcement came to fruition and became a thing. Colin Sexton or whoever it's going to be is going to be making a decision. So is LeBron James going to be mad at Alabama for doing a decision announcement? I mean, that's LeBron James's big deal. I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. Colin Sexton's going to be making a decision. I'm going to be taking my talents back to Alabama. So is that going to be a lawsuit?
At this point, why not?
It's the same thing, LeBron. Why not?
There was someone I was reading this week. It was probably Spencer Hall or somebody like that, where they said what this really ends in is both sides saying, it's okay, and LeBron James gets to go down on the field for a bunch of Alabama games because he'd rather be winning with Alabama than being on the sidelines at Ohio State.
And he's already done that, though.
He's already been to an Alabama game?
Yeah, he's been to 3 or 4 Alabama games.
I thought he had come to the Alabama LSU game that was like the 9-6 game
of
from
the
several
century.
years back. The game of the first game of the century or whatever. But I think LeBron just wants to tie his brand to the Alabama brand.
Yeah,
and vice versa. It's what if they do a crossover episode where LeBron comes to the Alabama barbershop and hangs out with Julio Jones? Wouldn't you watch that?
No. I would watch it if he showed up and no one was there.
You don't like LeBron James, do you, Adam?
No, I do not.
I'm not a LeBron fan, but I know one thing. A lot of people know who LeBron James is. And if he wanted to film an episode of his barbershop show in Alabama's barbershop, that is a huge recruiting tool. You tell a kid, come play football at Alabama, you may get to hang out with LeBron James, and you'll definitely get to hang out with Julio Jones. That's a huge selling point.
Yeah.
It is.
Have you guys ever heard of the idea of a crossover episode? I hear that can really work well for some media platforms.
I've heard that too, and I actually think that Sideline Warning is going to be doing a crossover episode here in a couple of weeks. So y'all might need to listen out because you've heard us talk about the I Am Geek podcast, right? We're going to have the I Am Geek guys on here in a couple of weeks, I think next week. And we're going to be on their podcast. They've got their 50th episode coming up this week, but we're going to be on their podcast. We're going to be doing something totally non-sports next week, guys. You ready for that?
I can handle it.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you a little taste. It's going to be a bracket, but something else that Adam and I can talk about for hours. I think Ben can talk about it for a little bit.
I'm knowledgeable.
You're knowledgeable. Think of a place that Adam works. Can we say that? We just did.
You can say that. You can say that. Yeah.
Okay. Just think of that. Think of things that you like to do as a kid and things that I like to do now. It's a bracket for fun, and it's not going to be sports, but we're going to have a good crossover episode with the I Am Geek guys. They're going to be on our show. We're going to be on theirs. So I think they said it the best way. We're all like the CW because, CW has their DC crossovers. We're going to do that here with 2 totally different genres of podcasts, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, but we get to be the Flash, and they're the Arrow.
Oh, they're okay with that. They hate Flash.
Oh, perfect. I love it. All right, good.
All right. So we got some more stuff to talk about. Just this afternoon, Ben and myself received an email from one Greg Byrne talking about possibly doing some upgrades at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
He likes to run ideas
talk about
by me
that
and Dave every now and then.
What's that, Ben? What's that? Say that louder.
Greg Byrne likes to run some ideas by me and Dave every now and then. So that's what he was doing. It was just a personal email. It was definitely not a mass email. That it did not go out to thousands of people. It was just to me and Dave, just the two of us, kind of CC'd there on a little convo with Greg, right?
Because for all I know, that could be true because I didn't get it.
Yeah, Adam didn't get one. But we do have a personal YouTube video from Greg Byrne that I'm going to play here. Talking about
it's so personal, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Something that he might be doing for Bryant-Denny. Before we play that, we're going to do our commercial. We're also going to talk about what we could see happening maybe at Bryant-Denny Stadium, what needs to happen, if any upgrades need to happen. But before we do that, I want you to sit back, relax, have a Coke and a smile, and we'll see you on the other side here on Sideline.
Hi folks, Ben Foster here. I just want to take a minute to tell you about my other podcast, the Magic City Music Cast. The latest edition is out for the month of April, and this month I'm sitting down with Early James and the Latest. Just a really great band. Their music kind of goes from country to blues to jazz and a little bit of everywhere in between. And Early James has such an amazing voice. So it's a great podcast. They actually special recorded 3 songs for this episode. So it's a great interview, but you also get to hear some really great music from a talented singer, songwriter, and his bass player. So check out my latest podcast, the Magic City Music Cast with Early James and the Latest. They're going to be playing 2 shows in Birmingham in the month of April, so it's definitely worth checking out. If you're in the Birmingham area, come see them. If not, check out their music on Spotify and elsewhere. Thanks for listening.
Hey, welcome back from the break, everybody. Hope y'all are as well rested as we are. We all had that nice Coke and a smile, and we are ready to talk about Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Dave, hold on just a second. I have got an email. It is a personal email that one athletic director, Greg Byrne, has sent to me.
And no, he sent it to me as well.
No. This is my email. This he sent it to me. I'm pretty sure he did not send it to anybody else.
Did it say Dear Crimson Tide supporter?
Yeah, that's how I know it's addressed to me.
Yes.
Please click on the link below to view a video message from University of Alabama directly.
He could be right. I didn't get it, Dave. He might be right.
But I got it.
No, you got it forwarded to you, didn't you?
No, it says from UA Athletics.
Dave has clearly hacked my email and gotten my personal email that Greg Byrne sent to me and nobody else.
Dave's working with the Russians.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play this video from Greg Byrne, and then we're going to have a quick discussion of what do we think needs to be upgraded at Bryant-Denny, if anything. And then, riveting podcast, guys, Ben Foster is going to fill out his survey on air.
This is quality audio, folks. It doesn't get any better than this.
The tension is palpable.
Dave, let everybody know what Greg Byrne had to say via video message.
All right, here you go. Let me find it. You ready? Here it comes.
Hi, I'm Greg Byrne, Director of Athletics at the University of Alabama. It's been a special year for Alabama athletics, capped off with our 17th national championship for our football program. The experience that you have as a fan at Bryant-Denny Stadium is very important, and we want to look at what the future holds for that. There's a survey that's attached to this email that we'd like to have you take the time to answer and give us constructive feedback on your experiences at Bryant-Denny Stadium and also what the future may hold. The renovations could impact many areas: concessions, restrooms, concourses, seating, premium seating, and we need your feedback to help us make the best decisions possible. We want you to know that no decisions have been made. We need your feedback so we can help prioritize and look and see what's feasible for our future. With the recent tax reform, there are unanswered questions that we're going to need to get our arms around before we can move forward with a project like this. We appreciate the support for Alabama athletics. There's going to be another survey coming in about a week regarding Coleman Coliseum that we'll ask you to participate in as well. April 21st is A-Day. You being there is really important for our football program, for our team, for our future recruits, and each and every one of you makes a difference for our program by being there. Thanks again for all you do, and roll Tide.
You know, he's not an articulate fellow, is he?
I thought it sounded good.
I did not.
Where did he grow up? Wasn't his dad the athletic director at Texas A&M or something like that?
Pull out the old Google machine.
He's got a little Texas to him.
Yeah, one of the major renovations you'd propose is to his presentation style and his facial expressions there.
Well, let's think about this. We come from, two athletic directors ago was Mal Moore, who was an orator. I mean, he was an amazing public speaker. What? He had that. Oh my gosh! Did you not love hearing Mal Moore talk?
Help us build the steps to Coleman Coliseum.
No. He had that pure Southern talk. He was a Southern gentleman the whole time from Dozier, Alabama, and he just talked like this, and he made you think that you were in the South the whole time. And it was amazing.
Dave, you sound like you're from Greenbow, Alabama.
I was going to say, Mal Moore was running.
By the way, Greg Byrne is from Idaho.
Wow.
He is from Idaho. But
that's not where he grew up. No.
But that's where it says. But anyway, you had Mal Moore, who was an amazing orator. Then you have Bill Battle, who is a businessman who is used to standing in front of people talking. And then Greg Byrne, it sounded like he fumbled through all that. But that's me. I nitpick when it comes to public speaking because that's what my background is.
The video is atrocious. I don't really have much problem with his reading of cue cards. What I have a problem with is watching the video and knowing he's reading cue cards.
Right, exactly. But so before you take your survey on air, Ben, let's just think about it.
Hold on. I want to clarify this because I'm. As usual, I'm right. Okay, Greg Byrne was born in Idaho, but he primarily grew up in Texas because his dad was the athletic director at Texas A&M University. Bill Byrne was at Idaho State for a while, but he mainly worked at Texas A&M. So I think Greg Byrne grew up in Texas.
Okay, that didn't sound like a Texas accent to me. But
it was
anyway,
very Texas to me.
Okay, before we take this survey on air, you and I have spent a lot of time at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Adam, you haven't been in a while, but you live in Florida, we understand. So what needs to be, if anything, needs to be done to upgrade the Bryant-Denny experience? Because you can't put new seats anywhere.
You could put better seats where they already are.
What are you going to do? Put backs on all the seats? That's going to be a multi-million-dollar thing, and that will actually take out capacity at Bryant-Denny.
Yeah, it's almost like the athletic department doesn't have any money. Football doesn't really generate any revenue.
No, not at all.
Stock is strong with that one.
I know, right? But I don't want. I like the 101,000. I don't want to go any lower. So
I would love to add 4 more miniature grandstands to the top of all of the spirals.
You're just being facetious now.
No, I'm serious. You got a little corner seating. Those are open areas where wind kind of like blows into the stadium and messes with the kickers. So why not seal that off a little bit and just fill in those corners?
Well,
it's not wind. Come on, it's not wind. It's the kickers.
I was
trying to give him an out there.
No, come on.
I'm going to sound like a structural engineer and say you can't do that because when they were actually doing the north and south end zones, they were hoping to bowl it in. But I think I read somewhere that the west side is 5 feet taller than the east side. So you cannot bowl it in like that. So that's why it's open air like it is.
You could still fill in the gap a little bit. It doesn't have to all be seamless.
Well, Mr. Engineer, is that even possible?
If one side's taller than the other, as long as you're just connected in the same side, I mean, you'd think it would be possible. But I mean, I think it probably is the same thing they're talking about with Coleman. Was the biggest seating bang for their buck was just to go straight out with what they put on. Whereas bowling it in, you got to connect things and you got to take the structure to hold the whole load. So it probably would have cost more to do that. Whether or not, I mean, they surveyed it and everything. And I ended up talking this podcast more about engineering than sports. How is this happening?
Why do you think we brought you on, man?
We're engineering
stadiums of the world.
We're engineering better sports.
Hey-o. But so one thing I actually have already taken the survey. And one thing I said is, and they actually make this a point, better cell coverage in Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Oh, that's got to happen. That's got to happen.
It's horrible. I've had AT&T. I now have Verizon. And no matter what my service is, once kickoff happens, I can't text back and forth, and I can't get on Facebook or I can't get on ESPN to check the other scores, what's going on.
Or even better, Wi-Fi would actually be better because it'd be less of a drain on the phones.
Exactly. Make it a free public Wi-Fi. I thought the university had public Wi-Fi on campus already.
It does, but it's not outfitted to handle 100,000 users at the same moment.
But that's going to be the problem, though, is 100,000 users simultaneously. Human beings are just bags of water that absorb Wi-Fi signals. And that much saturation, it's going to be hard to have anything that's reliable. That's going to be a big problem to solve. I mean, cell phone, it makes sense because cell phones, and again, here I am talking engineering stuff, but cell phones, the tower only has a big enough pipe that can handle so much bandwidth. You could throw access points all over that stadium. You're probably still not always going to get a good signal. It's going to be really hard. So I think that's something that I would say is probably something they do need to look at because there are stadiums that have figured it out. But to run them and put them in the right spot, it's going to take a lot of work. But
it will. And then the other thing that I have said,
well, hey, let's go ahead and take the survey. Let's go ahead and take the survey.
Okay, let's go. Open it up.
I've got it up.
Can I ask you guys something really quick before we start? I'm sorry. Has the food gotten any better at Bryant-Denny?
No, it's gotten worse.
Okay, good.
They do now have barbecue nachos. They brought Dreamland barbecue nachos, not Dreamland ribs. They brought barbecue nachos in, but not Big Bad Wolf barbecue nachos.
See.
So let's go ahead and give that free plug to Big Bad Wolf because anybody who's been to an Alabama game knows the real barbecue nachos are Big Bad Wolf right there at the Houndstooth.
And there's a Big Bad Wolf sausage place at Disney Springs, so our lawyers will talk about that.
Okay, sorry.
I'm channeling my inner LeBron.
There you go.
Because I'm concerned, because there was a website I looked at that was the coolest food item at the top 25 college football stadiums. Yeah. And at Bryant-Denny, it's the fact that Chick-fil-A sells there. And that's sad.
But they don't anymore.
Yeah, but I'm saying that even if that was the best thing at any point in time, for that to be the best thing is a joke. So
no, the Denny dogs are always good.
They used to be good. They're not as good as they were. They've changed vendors, and it's not the same recipe.
Yeah. And I'll say it went downhill when, was it Amway or Aramark?
Aramark.
Yeah,
Amway does a lot of things. They don't do stadium concessions.
Oof.
But it's gone downhill since they took over at Bryant-Denny.
Okay, let's dive into the survey. And
okay.
So the first question here, I'm taking this live. I have not seen any of it. The first question is, would you be okay taking a Coleman Coliseum survey about 10 days from now? Of course, you guys know my answer, and that is yes.
And that will be live on air, and I will be the one taking that survey.
So Dave will take that survey. Okay,
that will be fun.
So first real question. Which of the following describes your current status with the University of Alabama? So I think the best answer here is alumnus. Or I could be a recent graduate.
I checked both of them.
Oh yeah. You can do a few of those, Tide Pride donors, university donors, no affiliation, season ticket holder. I'm going to be an alumnus and a recent graduate. All right, football attendance. On average, how many home football games do you purchase tickets for each year? I buy them from family members, so I'm going to claim that I actually purchase tickets. And so
I did the exact same thing.
So I'm going to say 7 all home games because that's generally what I do.
This is really.
And I'm glad you guys are filling this out because it's kind of like that scene in Willy Wonka when they're like, "How many Wonka bars did you open?" And Charlie's like, 2. I'm like, what do you mean you only opened 2? If I was filling this out, I'd be like, I haven't been in 7 years. What do you mean? It's good that you guys got the email.
So here's another one. On average, how many home football games do you attend each year? So I do not attend any home games would be your answer here, right? Adam?
Yes.
And
they would say thank you for your time.
Yeah. 7.
Yeah, I'm going to take 7 there as well. We're making great progress. On average, how many tickets do you purchase for each home football game you attend? I'm going to say, for me, I'm usually buying 1, but I may be buying 2. So, somewhere in that neighborhood. These questions are stunning. All right. Where do you sit in Bryant-Denny Stadium? This is a good one. We've got a stadium seating chart, and it looks from just eyeballing the stadium chart, it looks like the east side is about 5 feet shorter than the west side.
You must have a huge monitor, really high resolution. That's
Ben's seats are very close to my grandmother's seats. I know because I had the idea for the podcast at an Alabama home football game when I ran into Ben. Nothing?
It's true. That's how all this got started. So you're welcome.
No, actually, that was me. I should say you're welcome because I had the idea.
Well, I was saying you're welcome to all the listeners on behalf of both of us.
Oh. Well, we're probably losing half of them with this segment right here.
Okay, so I'm just going to pick a section and claim that. Overall, how would you rate the value you receive for the dollars you spend to obtain your seats for the Alabama home football game? I'm going to say it's an excellent value. No, actually, I'm going to say it's a good value because I wish we scheduled better opponents at home. All right. Is your ticket purchase primarily for personal use, business use, or both? That's obviously personal use. I'm not taking any clients there or anything like that. Although I might bring a sideline warning listener to a game. We may try to offer that up in the fall. Bring a listener of the podcast to the show to take them to a game.
How about bringing the host that placed the highest in the bracket?
Adam's trying to go to a game for a change.
Well, Adam, you're going to a home game already. Aren't we the home? Yeah, aren't we the home team at Camping World Stadium? And
I'll tell you, Camping World Stadium is the gold standard of a football venue. So anything Bryant-Denny Stadium needs to do, they should look at Camping World Stadium.
Okay.
That's a joke. I don't mean that. Maybe UCF Stadium.
Adam?
I had to throw it in there. I had to throw it in there. Please, Ben, continue. Save us.
I don't know how much saving I can do. This is where they want us to rank a bunch of things. I'm just going to call these out, and you want to rank these on a scale of 1 to 7, where 7 is the best and 1 is the worst. So we've got different criteria here. So stadium location, you guys tell me what you'd put there.
7. I love where it is.
Yeah, the location isn't lacking for me. How about game day traffic?
1.
I'm going to put a 4. It's better than it used to be.
Tuscaloosa is still a clogged artery when it tries to get out of that city.
How about parking lot ingress and egress? I'm gonna give that a pretty low score.
Well, I park out. Go ahead, Adam. What?
I was gonna say, are they talking about like the official parking lots or the towel waivers?
I think they're talking about the ones they control.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I park out by the rec field, so it's not bad for me.
Well, there's 2 separate parking lots. There's the questions. There's ingress, egress, like how easy is it to get in and out of the parking lot, and then the other one is location and convenience. So I think the locations are not that bad. I think the getting in and out's problematic. How about the tailgating experience? That's a pretty high ranking for me.
1 through 7.
I don't know how many tailgates you make. Yeah, 1 through 7. I'm going to give it a 6.
I'd give it a 10. I mean, if y'all want a tailgate to come down to Big Tom's Tailgate. You know, that's where we've got a big tailgate trailer. We set up. We drink beer, watch TV. We love our tailgate.
How about the stadium exterior appearance?
7. I love it.
It's a 5. The zone, like the end zone, looks pretty good. The brick facade there, but the sides are a little rough. Let's clean that up. Give me more brickwork.
Okay. You want to look more like Ben Hill Stadium down there at Gainesville?
No, I want it to look like Bryant-Denny Stadium, but I want to class the joint up a little bit. All right. Okay. Stadium entry and exiting. I think that's pretty good, right?
No. My parents' seats are up top. We have to go up and down that turnstile. and that it's a traffic jam getting down that turnstile. I'd say it's about a 5.
Okay. I don't think it's that bad. Concourse circulation. That's a problem.
Yes, that is.
Walking around on the concourses is rough. How about the number of restrooms?
It's okay. 4 to 5.
The quality of the restrooms, not so much.
-1.
I'd be very interested to see how that parses by gender.
Yeah. The trough crowd versus the non-trough crowd.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, do you still have a trough in your bathroom, Ben?
No, I think the one I mainly go to doesn't. But
yeah, there are urinals where I am now.
There are in several places in the stadium still troughs.
Oh gosh.
Ease of restroom access.
Medium.
It's all right. Number of concession stands. That's okay. Quality concession stands, not so much.
1.
The quality of the concession stands, not good.
Yeah, 1.
Speed of purchasing concessions.
I'd say low too, because the bands and the cheerleading squads that we let come in and do the concession stands don't do concession stands for a living, and they are slower than Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm still doing that.
Yes, they're still doing that.
And I'm all for helping charity, but I'm also all for watching the game and getting my concessions in a timely manner. So why not run the concession stands with regular employees for a profit, and then take some of the success you make from a more profitable concession stand and give that to charity?
Well, if nothing else, one of the things that we've seen, like at Levi Stadium and some of the places like that, is you can actually order from your seat, and they'll run it to you. So even if you continue like the physical brick and mortar concessions to be this kind of thing people can come and run, you have a for-profit that'll bring it to where you are. And that's where the Wi-Fi and the connectivity and all of that come in. But I mean, you look at Alabama and the money they make on this. You look at the national championships they've won and the stadium. If it's really going to be world class and that's really their aim, they need to start thinking about stuff like that, because that's becoming more commonplace.
Oh, definitely.
Than people think it is.
Okay. Ease of access to merchandise stands. Nobody cares. You've already got all the merchandise you need when you get to the game.
Well, that's the question. Are there any merchandise stands in the stadium? I've yet to see one.
Oh, I've seen them.
Tables and stuff, right?
It's usually like a table with a couple of things. It's nothing particularly fancy. But I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to buy any. I've already got everything. I'm wearing it. I'm wearing all the Alabama stuff I need.
How about game day polo?
I don't know. If maybe it's a rainy game, I wish they had a little better merchandise where they were selling me ponchos, and so I don't have to get one of those and carry it in. I just get it when I need it.
I've got a Disney poncho.
Variety of merchandise. That's a low rating.
How do you handle shirt changes at a game you attend in person, Dave?
Yeah, that's a problem. Okay. I don't.
I'm just curious.
For those that don't know, I have a barrage of 4 or 5 shirts that I change into depending on how the team does while I'm at home watching games. I'm very superstitious when it comes to Alabama football.
That's actually a survey question. How do you think Dave handles 5 shirts in a game? Next up, seat location. Seats are pretty good, or at least mine are.
Mine are great.
Seat comfort. That's where we're gonna rank it low.
Seat, and that it depends. If we're down where you are, where my grandmother's seats are, not good. But if we're up where my parents are and under the overhang, wonderful.
Yeah, why are the higher seats more comfortable?
Because you are under the overhang, and I would pay a premium dollar to not be in the rain.
Yeah, I guess. But you
want
to have good seats closer to the field too.
Yeah, my parents' seats are in the shade, and honestly,
you're on the right side of the stadium then.
Right.
Or I mean the correct side.
The correct side. I prefer my parents' seats over my grandmother's seats because I like to see the play happening. I don't like being down low on the field. I prefer being up high in the stadium so I can see the play unfolding as it goes.
Which is the next question, sightlines to the field. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty decent.
Seat options and amenities. There aren't
amenities are poor. Very poor.
Yeah. Seat price. I think considering the product we're getting to see right now, the seat price is pretty good.
Yeah.
Availability of covered seating, to your point, Dave. Not so much. Sound system quality. It's good. It's not great.
It's good when it works.
Scoreboard, video board quality. I think that's a little bit better than not good. Cellular
I think you've got to consider Auburn's though. I mean,
no,
that's
you don't.
top notch.
Cellular phone connectivity. We're going to give that the worst score possible. Wi-Fi access, worst score possible.
4.
Game day atmosphere, pretty good. Could be better. Cleanliness of stadium, not so clean.
Not at all.
Family amenities. I don't think too much about the family thing, but I think it's okay. I think it could be better.
Yeah, as a family man, I'll say it's probably midway. We go down to the family tailgate. We walk to the family tailgate, let my daughter jump in the little bouncy house for a minute. But, whatever.
Okay, the next question. In order to provide the best atmosphere possible, please provide suggestions to improve your game day experience. The two things that have to improve, everything else is kind of optional to me. The two things that have got to get better are food and internet connectivity.
I agree.
Yeah, and food, again, I don't want to harp on this point, but food is one of the easiest things, I think, to get around. We went to the Falcon Stadium recently, and one of the things they had there, perfect stadium food, is they had a local barbecue restaurant that just opens a bag of Fritos and puts barbecue and some sides and stuff on top of it, and you carry it around and you eat it out of the bag. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of effort to get some really good stuff out there that's different. I think that's the easiest thing they can do, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, why couldn't you? I mean, you've got Archibald's. Why not bring in Archibald's, a local barbecue place? And I'm sure they would love to be part of Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Well, you can't have Dreamland and Archibald's in there.
But Dreamland doesn't do what Dreamland's known for.
Yeah, you ought to be able to get a slab of ribs at the stadium. That should be part of your game day experience.
I agree. Why not?
Okay, the next couple of questions are about these like fancy suites you can rent out, and I'm not too inclined to rent out any of that stuff because I think it's super expensive.
It's super expensive, and it takes away from the actual football atmosphere. If I'm going to a college football game, I hate sitting down during a college football game. I mean, when we all went to school as a student, we were forced to not sit down. And when I first started watching games as an alumni, I got yelled at for sitting down. To me, it's weird sitting down watching a college football game. When I'm even at home, I don't sit down and watch a game. I pace.
So here is the visual part that doesn't translate well to the podcast. They talk about a south end zone patio area, and they give you 4 sample images from other stadiums. They use the Washington Stadium where the Washington Huskies play. They use the Minnesota Vikings patio suites, and then they also use field lounge images from Washington and from Mississippi State. Does any of that appeal to you guys?
Not at all.
Is it like a baseball stadium where as long as you have a ticket you can get into it, or do you have to buy a separate ticket for it?
Yeah, it looks like you've got to pay for the area, and then you also have to pay for the seat.
No, not interested.
Yeah, that's too rich for my blood. And then they're calling them. I believe this is called a Loge box, Loge. I don't know what this is.
I have no idea myself.
But essentially, it's kind of like you have your own like little miniature box of like 4 or 5 seats. And so I've seen this for like music venues. The Tuscaloosa Amphitheater has this. But essentially, it's like you have your own little kind of like private area where you get better food and beverage. You get, in-box food and beverage service. You'd have like a waitress that attends to you. You get a flat screen TV, covered seating area. You get some extra access, some better restrooms and stuff like that. Does that seem interesting?
For the extra price? No, I'm already paying an arm and a leg for my family to come to the game.
It's interesting. I don't think that I'd pay for it. I think it'd be out of my price range. But they show where this is happening at Oklahoma, at Baylor, at the University of Houston. The Atlanta Falcons have this. They have some outdoor terrace areas that Notre Dame and Colorado have. Colorado's looks nice because you've got a great view. Like you're looking at the mountains. You're in Boulder. Tuscaloosa is a great town. I love it. But you're not going to look at the mountains. You can't see the Black Warrior River. There's nothing really scenic from the football stadium.
Right, and they've actually covered up our one scenic view of Denny Chimes.
Yeah.
So I you know,
I'm gonna mark it as possibly interested rather than not interested, just because it seems like a nice idea. I would probably never be able to afford it though.
Well, and that's what I'm afraid of is the video itself. And I know there's probably more of this riveting survey to talk about, but the video and the words and the phrasing of it, where they're like, we haven't made any decisions yet, we respect everybody, that kind of stuff, just makes it feel like they're doing this as a formality, a lot of all this luxury stuff, and nothing else is really going to change.
Well, and what I hope is that I never pay for this stuff, but I have rich friends who do.
Nice.
Got it.
So how likely is it you would lease a 4-seat Logue box for here it is, here's the price tag, if the total annual cost were $20,000, $5,000 per seat?
Can you superimpose in post-production some cricket sounds there? Because no. I'll buy a slab of ribs though.
It'd be 4 seats, so like 2 couples could go in for $10,000 each. Or
that's still way too much.
Or the 3 of us, we could get a 4th co-host for the show, and each one of us could just pay $5,000 a year.
Or you could buy a membership in the Disney Vacation Club.
I'm for that. I'm for that. I want that one. I want that option.
For $5,000, I could go around the world in 80 days. Like, there's so many things you could do with $5,000 besides go to 7 football games.
For $5,000, I can take my family of 4 to Disney World in September. Oh wait, that's happening.
There's literally a million things you could do with $5,000 a head before you'd buy this box.
And can we also face a little bit of the reality here that by the time most of those luxury upgrades would be built, Nick Saban would retire. And we don't know what's going to happen after then. So I'd rather have a slab of ribs that watch bad football.
So after I said
empty suites.
So after I said 20,000 was too rich for my blood, the follow-up question is, what if the total annual cost was $17,500?
Oh, that changes the whole
thing. It's only $4,000, $375 per seat. Suddenly that extra, $625 I'd be saving per seat really makes this enticing. Now, Greg Byrne, now you got me feeling like I'm going to make a deal here.
Well, please tell me the next question is, what if it was $15,000?
Actually, I think it is.
Yes. What if it was $15,000?
Gentlemen, do I have at least 2 numbers right?
The price is wrong, Bob.
Okay. What's next, Ben?
Skyboxes. Are you guys interested in skyboxes?
Nope.
No.
The skybox would have 12 to 16 people. Again, who are they benchmarking off of? Look at this. Texas A&M, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. Are Alabama's facilities so bad that we've got to look at the other teams in the SEC?
I thought our football stadium was state of the art.
I was going to say for the Coleman survey maybe, but not for this one.
I hope that actually that's where I would buy box seats. I would pay up for that. I wouldn't pay $20,000, but I'd pay a much more reasonable price for some premium seating at a basketball game. That's where I'm going to spend my money. I'm gonna rely on rich friends to get me into the football games. I'm going to take care of myself for basketball. So how would I describe my interest in leasing a skybox at Bryant-Denny Stadium? Non-existent. But I'm kind of shocked here. It looks like several SEC schools that aren't even football schools have much better boxes than Alabama.
Actually, Davis Wade Stadium over there in Starkville, they did great things to it the last couple of years, and they actually have very good skybox facilities.
There's all this hardwood. It looks kind of mahogany there for Mississippi State. It kind of looks like a nice sports bar.
I'm sorry. When you said mahogany, my first thought is Anchorman.
Yes.
I have many mahogany-bound leather books.
Our stadium smells of rich mahogany, and we have many leather-bound books. Merlin Olsen drops by on occasion.
Yes.
So I'm not interested.
Riveting radio, guys. Riveting radio.
Next, field level clubs. Would you hang out at a field level club? And here's the example. They showed Dallas Cowboys. They also show Mississippi State again. Greg Byrne spent a lot of time at Mississippi State, and clearly he did a lot to make their stadium seem really nice because Mississippi State is one of the benchmarks every time. Also,
well, nobody cares about sideline of a Mississippi State game, so
yeah, Colorado State has one. Also, the New York Jets. I love that we're comparing to pro facilities. So it would be an additional contribution there. That sounds interesting. Again, I would rather somebody else throw the party and invite me. I don't want to pay for it.
Freeloader?
Non-premiums. Yeah, that's exactly right. Non-premium season tickets. Do you intend to continue to purchase your current seat location? I'm going to say yes. And again, I'm kind of answering on behalf of family. But anyway,
I enjoy my peasant tickets.
Considering the current location of your seats and the amount you pay, which of the following statements best describes you? I want to maintain my current seat location, I want to upgrade my current seat location, or I want to downgrade. Maintain. I'm okay with maintaining. I like where I'm at.
So you don't do anything.
Would you be interested in purchasing additional seats in your current location? Maybe.
How could you, though? How could you? Because the people next to you have been there for 20 years. So what are you going to do? Kill those people off so you can have those seats?
Well, you only get them if you're in their will, right?
No, I don't think you can will them anymore.
I'm not sure how it would work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Currently, nearly all seats in the stadium require Tide Pride contribution. So the pre-seat donation requirements are going to increase on a regular basis. So they're showing some of the increases here. This gets excruciating. I have no desire to think through this.
Okay.
So
I hate to say it, guys. If we are, this just feels like a thinly veiled attempt to sell the idea of changing the ticket prices, the ticket structure, and adding luxury facilities to the stadium.
That's what it sounds like to me, too.
I mean,
they're trying to figure out how to make the most money.
Yeah, there's 7 questions out of all the things we talked about that apply to probably 90,000 of the 101,000 people in there. The rest of it's about those other 10,000. It's about the 1%.
There's like 20 different options here. This is crazy.
I took it, but I was like, you know what? This is stupid. Halfway through, because they don't care about the concessions. They don't care about the Wi-Fi. They just want the luxury items. Where can you have the most sky bar boxes? Where can you have the most field boxes? It's going to be a point where you say, hey, I'll pay you $30,000 to follow Nick Saban around.
How much do you want to bet they only ask those questions because if you marked your seats in one of the zone sections, right, and they said your Wi-Fi was good, okay, good, the Wi-Fi is good in the zone. Everybody else's answer doesn't matter.
Hey, why not? Yeah, why not?
That doesn't give me a lot of confidence for the Coleman survey that's coming out.
Well, when it does, we'll be taking it on air, and you know who will be doing it? Yours truly. I'm going to blast this survey.
Again, okay. I might be willing for something nicer at Coleman.
Until they show me something on the court, we'll see. But that's another topic, another time. Y'all want to talk a little baseball? We do need to say, hey, the Braves are doing well. I might have been wrong about my Braves predictions.
Yeah, that makes 2 of us.
Because just today, the Braves took Max Scherzer to task and beat them 7-1, 7-2. And the Braves are now 4-2. And I think that makes them tied in first place for the NL East. Now, we've just played 2 series. Don't get me wrong. Both catchers for the Braves are now hurt. The Braves have then now dropped Chris Stewart, who is their third-string catcher, and have traded with the Angels for Carlos Perez. So the Braves now have a third catcher on roster named Carlos Perez.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm surprised the most by was, I said last week that if the Braves made it through their first 9 or somewhere around 500, they should be pleased with themselves. I mean, it's the run production that I'm surprised by. I mean, they have a plus 21 run differential. I know the first 3 games were the Phillies, and nobody really expects much out of them. But even after 3 games against the what we thought would be the best team in the East, they held their own and actually added to what their run differential was against the Phillies. So, I mean, I think that's been my biggest gripe about the Braves for a year or 2 now has just been run production. but they seem like they actually have the bats turned on. Now, whether they can make it last and stay healthy all season remains to be seen. But, I mean, things actually look pretty good where they might push for a wild card.
They might push for a wild card. And the one thing that I see that I think the Braves need to really work on is their pitching is still atrocious.
Yeah.
Folty was dealing today. I think Folty's probably a better number one starter right now than Tehran is. But that bullpen is atrocious.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to make an apology statement.
Where this is going.
I have been dogging a certain right fielder all off season, all the first two weeks of the season. Nick Markakis, I apologize. I doubted you. I still don't like you. I'm not a huge fan of yours. But you made a slight believer out of me when you came up in a huge clutch situation in the first game of the season and hit a walk-off home run. Thank you, Nick Markakis. I won't trade you from my team yet.
You know, Dave insulted John Petty. He talked bad about John Petty, and then John Petty had a couple of great games scoring. And then he talks bad about Nick Markakis, and he hits a walk-off home run. Dave, maybe you ought to start picking some more guys and start saying they can't succeed.
How about the Braves bullpen?
I was going to say, you know what?
Let's call him by name.
That Freddie Freeman, he's a horrible first baseman. I can't stand him. I hope we trade him. And you know what? That the entire Braves bullpen, they're horrible. They're horrible. They're failures. They're failures in life.
Dave, do you have any thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa?
No, I can't even make fun of that because they're not failures.
Well, I mean, and in addition to the Braves guys, who would have seen, again, 5-6 games in, but the Pirates at the top of the Central with the Cards and the Cubs fighting for the middle to bottom half. I mean, the Cubs lost 2 to the Marlins. And well, I know eventually it will, but still, to come out of the gate and lose 2 to the Marlins, who nobody expects anything out of, is surprising at best. So.
Well, let's also look at who they've played. The Pirates have played a very mediocre Detroit team.
Oh yeah, not even mediocre; they're bad.
Yeah, they're horrible. So that's just a moniker of who they've played. But let's talk about something. What about the Yankees? They've come up and they haven't looked like world beaters. Now today, the big three all went yard, and I will say Giancarlo Stanton will probably be a beast because we saw what he did today.
But he struck out 5 times yesterday, and the Yankees fans were booing him. And that's why I can't stand the Yankees. Their fan base, unless you're perfect, they're going to hate on you all the time.
Here's my thing about that. That was his first game in a true cold atmosphere. The man's been used to playing in Miami. His first home game at Yankee Stadium, it was snowing and 10 degrees. So give the man a little bit of a break. He's not used to playing in the American League. It is a true different animal. Pitchers are a little bit better in the American League, but he'll be better. He'll be back. Don't worry.
And I'm not saying he won't. I'm just saying the Yankees fans are terrible because they don't have that perspective that you do. He strikes out 5 times and they're ready to cut him.
We can't all be true baseball purists like I am.
Yeah, we can't all be the avid Nick Markakis enthusiast that you are.
Of late, at least, yeah. Yeah, I have to say, though, everything's panning out. It feels a little bit like, the NCAA tournament. It didn't go the way anybody thought. I feel the same way about the first 6 games of the season, at least for the Braves. And the Dodgers, too, I have to say. They're letting me down.
I love every second of that.
But the Angels are in the middle like we thought, so maybe
I do have to ask you a question, though, Adam.
Yeah.
Growing up a Braves fan, how can you also say you're a Dodgers fan?
Because I went to, honestly, a lot of the times I played Little League, my team ended up being the Dodgers.
Okay.
And I went out there for a game not that long ago, and it feels like it has that same history and tradition. Like Alabama fans appreciate that kind of stuff, right? And I just loved the whole experience. And so I figured, well, if I have two an NL and an AL team out here on the East Coast in Atlanta and Tampa, I might as well adopt the Dodgers and the Angels too. And I went to California so often there for a while, it felt like a second home. So that's really it. But going to a Dodgers game is an awesome experience. So
okay, well,
Their stadium's old, but it's okay for it to be old because you feel like you're at a Dodgers game because you're there in that stadium that looks so old. It's weird.
Well, it's like Fenway Park. It's a destination stadium.
Yeah,
it's one of those places you have to go to before they tear it down.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's our sports talk. Ben, we got a weird pick'em this week, don't we?
I think so. I think we're really. First off, I want to do one quick baseball pick, and that's just relative to the Braves, because right now the Braves are 4-2. Their winning percentage is .667, and they are about to go to Colorado, and so they've got a series with Colorado. And my question is, will their winning percentage be better or worse the next time we record the podcast?
So we've got Colorado, and then I think the Braves go to Chicago. So they'll have Chicago and Colorado before we come back. Adam, you want to take the first?
I think it'll be the same.
I think it'll be a little worse because they'll probably split with Colorado, and then they'll probably get swept in Chicago. The Braves never play well in Chicago.
Well, they essentially have. I mean, we normally record this podcast. We're recording late because of the NCAA tournament, but we normally record on a Sunday night on a Monday morning. So really, just getting through this Rocky series, 3 games in Denver. Do you think the Braves' record will be better or worse than it is?
They're just Denver?
Yeah, because they travel to Washington to DC to take on the Nationals before they go to Chicago. So with 3 games with the Rockies is what we have next before we record again. Will the Braves have a better record or a worse record? 3 games, so it's got to be better or worse.
Oh, I think just for those 3, I think they'll take 1 and drop 2. So I think it'll be worse.
I'll say better because they always play well in Colorado.
I'll take better. I'll take better because I'm optimistic that if the Bats are doing this well in Atlanta, the Bats are going to look really good in Denver. So I got that, and then there's a little golf tournament happening this weekend, guys.
Really?
Yeah. Really?
Like mini golf?
Yes, like mini golf. It's a miniature golf tournament. It's happening down in Gulf Shores.
Might as well.
No, we of course are talking about a tradition unlike any other, the Masters, and there's no good easy way to pick the Masters other than the age-old question that has taunted golf fans for decades, and that is, would you rather take Tiger or the field?
I'm pretty confident to say we're all going to have the same answer.
Are you that confident?
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying the field.
Yeah, I say Duffield.
Both of you guys are going to take the field. I'm going to take the field as well. I have talked to several folks that are bigger golf fans than me, though, and they say, Augusta, it's a course that favors the experienced. Tiger's feeling good. He's getting back on his game. This really is Tiger's time. Just the sheer motivation of it is going to get Tiger across the way. I don't believe that, but there are a lot of people that believe this is Tiger's moment once again.
So here's the deal. The Masters is a course that favors somebody that is long on the drive, in complete control of their short game, and good putting. Very good on the greens. Tiger, since he's been back, is not long on the drive. He's decent with his short game, and his putting has been okay at best.
I believe it was the Wall Street Journal had a feature on Tiger Woods this week where they said that Tiger has reconstructed parts of Augusta at his actual house, and he has like 3 different holes he can play there at his house that are just for the short game, the final 150 yards of a hole, and he, because he's been practicing like that on this miniature course in his backyard, he's now statistically right now the way he's playing the best golfer 150 yards from the hole.
So first off, I told you it was miniature golf, and the second
exactly
is I think it's great. I think it makes for a great story. I think it's great hype to get a lot of attention on the Masters. I think there comes a time where everybody has to realize that they've hit that moment, and I think he's there. And I hate to say it, he might make a run for it, but I think this is going to be one of those things where he just leaves disappointed. I mean, for me personally, I don't know if we're going into picks yet. I mean, I think with one like this with the Masters, you could take the top 8 players, you could put them in a hat, and you could draw one. And any given day, any given conditions that they're playing in, anybody could rise to the top in this one. We've seen it happen before, right?
Well, let's go ahead and pick that. There's so many names out there. What I want you guys to do is pick one top guy that you think could win it, and then pick one dark horse guy that's not in the one guy that's in the top 10 that you think's going to win it, and one guy that's outside of the top 10 that you really think could make a play for winning it. So your top pick and your dark horse. Who have you got, Adam?
I mean, I've got a coin with a 50-50 flip, and there's a guy named Justin on both sides of it for me. I think Justin Rose or Justin Thomas could both play well enough, and I'm going to be a homer and say that Green looks good on a Bama boy and say Thomas for the win. For someone outside, and based off the odds and the rankings that I saw, I would say based off recent years, my dark horse will be Sergio Garcia.
Okay.
That's a good pick.
Sergio,
Sergio. Mamma mia. I want some pizza. Anyway.
It's Sergio Garcia.
I know. Sergio just sounds Italian.
It's a me, Mario.
It's a me.
Sorry. All right.
Dave, who have you got?
So for my mainstream guy, I think that it's been some time since Mr. Rory McIlroy has been on the top of the leaderboard. And I think this is your Rory gets that green jacket again. My dark horse is going to be a little nostalgia pick. I think it's time we bring some Southern back to Augusta, bring some good old boy back to Augusta. The one I really want to see put that green jacket back on, I want Bubba Watson. I loved it when Bubba won that one a couple years ago. His shot coming out of the pines was beautiful, and I think Bubba's long game is suited for Augusta. I think Bubba could be, if not win it, he can be in the top 10.
I like that. Bubba always plays well at Augusta. He always gets fired up for it. For my surefire thing, I want to go with Justin Thomas. If I'm going to pick a top 10 guy, got to roll Tide every time, right? So I'm gonna do like Adam and go with Justin Thomas. For my dark horse pick, I'm just gonna put this out there. You guys brace yourselves. Be on the lookout for Kira Afi-Barnrat.
What? Excuse you.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Tissue.
I consulted with several of my golfing expert friends, and I said, who's the real dark horse to be on the lookout for? And they said, look at Afi-Barnrat. He is amazing. He is like the Ty John Daly. And I said, that's my guy. I found him already. That's who I want to support. So Kira Afi-Barnrat, that is who I've picked. That is my dark horse pick to win the Masters. Look out.
Okay.
All right.
You heard it here first. Go. You heard it here first.
Okay. So Ben picks some guy we don't even know who. But there are your picks.
You shall know him by his vape cloud.
Okay.
He apparently vapes all over the golf course. It's going to be amazing. Trust me. This is your pick.
Gosh,
there are
your
fun
picks.
To watch.
And now it is time to hand out some sideline warnings. Adam, go ahead, man.
Yeah, we're a sports podcast, right, guys?
Yeah, right.
And we never talk NASCAR.
We don't, do we?
Is NASCAR
because we only talk about sports.
Oh, see, thank you, Ben. Oh, that was perfect. So, I hear it all the time. It's only left-hand turns. They just go around in a circle. It's so boring. But I got to tell you guys, Dave did the same thing about baseball, about going to a game a couple weeks ago. I just got to say the same thing about a race. I think everyone should have it on their bucket list to see a true NASCAR, the major league of racing, race in person, and feel the energy, the spectacle of it. Dave and I went to Talladega last season, and it's like a fair a sporting event, and Mardi Gras all rolled into one. So just being there,
Mardi Gras.
Outside of the race itself, just the whole environment and what's going on around the racetrack is there. And then once you see the cars in real life and everything, you'll love it, I promise. So I would have everybody put that on their bucket list. And for anyone like the great Ben Foster, who says it's not a sport, you tell me when you'd be willing to drive 3 hours in a car at top speed in rush hour traffic with no radio and a backseat driver talking in your ear the whole time. When anyone can do that, then they can consider it not a sport. So there's my sideline warning.
I'd love to see Ben do that, actually.
I think it's a YouTube challenge in the making.
I'm an excellent driver. I would love to do this.
Ben, I've ridden in a car with you before. No, you're not.
There's the the Porsche driving school right outside of Birmingham in Leeds. You guys could come up and we could drive some Porsches.
No. The only time I'm getting on a racetrack is if we do the Talladega experience. I said we do it at Dega, man.
We have some electric go-kart stuff down here you guys could do.
Hey, we might be doing that in a couple of weeks, Adam.
I love it.
So, all right, Ben, go with yours. I'm
so fired up this week. I have not one but two sideline warnings, and they're both about baseball. So they're both baseball warnings that I want to give to folks. But before I really dive into it, Dave, we didn't even have a chance to talk about the new Tennessee Titan uniforms that were unveiled this evening. I'm underwhelmed. They promised a lot, and they didn't deliver much change at all. They basically made the helmets darker.
They made the helmets darker. They took the 3 stars out of the flaming thumbtack and have just put the dagger there. So the main logo is the thumbtack with the Tennessee dagger in the middle of it.
Which the 3 stars were an homage to the state of Tennessee and their logo. So they made it less of a Tennessee thing.
Right, exactly. What I'm a little upset about is they had promised the world saying it's going to be a huge change. And I couldn't, as a big fan, I couldn't tell that it was a change unless I went and looked at the old uniform and said, oh, yeah, that little tweak, that was done.
Was the full powder blue a combination before, Dave?
Yeah, there was a lot more powder blue in there. There's not anymore.
Well, I saw one I thought that was pants and shirt that was powder blue.
Oh, I hadn't seen that one.
Because that's one that doesn't need to happen. That's not an upgrade.
Well, that is an homage to the Oilers, which the Titans came from the Oilers. Now, I am of the saying that since Houston has their team back, let the Titans be their own entity, and let's give the Oiler history to the Texans. I don't want the Ring of Honor at Tennessee to have Oiler names in it. I want Eddie George. I want Steve McNair. I want Frank Wycheck up there. I don't want George Blanton up there. He never played in Tennessee. He probably doesn't even know where Nashville is. Let him go back to Houston.
I really like the shade of red that's kind of incorporated into the Tennessee uniforms. I was really hoping they'd come out with like a red jersey or something like that.
They actually had a red jersey in the late 90s.
Yeah, I was hoping they'd kind of go back to that, but they didn't. And while there's a little bit of uniform outrage there, that is the perfect way for me to get to my baseball sideline warning, which is to Major League Baseball and to the Washington Nationals. Watching the Nationals take on the Braves here in this 3-game series, which they lost to the Braves, I would like to say that it's absolutely absurd that the Nationals are able to take the field in Atlanta with a navy blue cap with a red bill and a white script letter on it. It looks too similar to a Braves cap, and there's no way that 2 teams in the same division should have the same caps. And the Nationals regularly wear this cap on the road. It's their road cap, and it's the cap they wear when they're in Atlanta playing the Braves. You shouldn't be able to have 2 teams that have caps that are that similar anywhere in baseball, but especially when the visiting team is the one wearing it. If the Nationals wanted to do it at home, I might excuse it, but it's entirely unacceptable that the Nationals get to wear a cap that is, you want to talk about LeBron being mad about somebody stealing his idea, all the Nationals have done is steal the idea for a great hat and take it from the Braves. That needs to change. MLB needs to have a stricter uniform rule where the Nationals can't copycat on the Braves hat. That's my first sideline warning. Second sideline warning is another baseball-related one, which is all about what happened between the Minnesota Twins and the Baltimore Orioles. The Twins were up in a recent game with the Orioles. They were up by, I think it was 7 or 8 runs, and despite that, the Twins decided to put the shift on in the 9th inning. And what did the Orioles batter do? He bunted into the shift and bunted to get a board. The Orioles did not win this game. They were down in the 9th. There was little chance of them winning, but they were still showing proper gamesmanship. But the Minnesota Twins were not happy with this, and they complained. They said, "This is absurd. You shouldn't be bunting. We're trying to end the game and get out of there." Well, if you're going to put the shift on, a guy ought to have the right to raise his batting average and bunt into the shift and bunt to get a board. He's playing baseball. You're playing baseball. If you want to end the game, then don't put the shift on. If you're going to shift, he should always have the right to take advantage of the shift. If you don't want him taking advantage of the shift, don't shift. It's that simple. The Orioles were in the right, and the Twins should not have been that upset about it. They should have been happy. They still won the game, so they need to quit complaining. So Twins, lock it up.
I like it.
Love it.
So I'm going to go a little bit different with my sideline warning. I said I was going to talk about Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, which, by the way, looks like the fight might happen. Great for boxing. I think we need this fight for heavyweights to come back. If this heavyweight division is going to be good again, having these two pillars fight, I think is going to be awesome. I was searching through the Sideline Warning fan group on Facebook to see what I want to talk about this week. And my eyes always stopped at something that was posted on Monday at 3:00 by one of my friends, Mr. Cameron Humphrey. He's an Auburn fan, which I'll give him a pass for this because of this comment. But he said, "I'll be back in September when the real sports talk is back." I want to think about that for a second, Cameron. Are you telling me that football is the only sports talk that's important? Or football is the only sport that's important that you only want to wait till September to talk about it? Sports happen year-round. And football is a fun sport to watch and a fun sport to talk about. But there are tons of other sports to listen to talk about, to get passionate about. I want to challenge anybody who claims to be a sports fan to be well-rounded. We talk about basketball, we talk about football, we talk about baseball, we talk about golf even. We talk about NASCAR.
The hockey playoffs are right around the corner.
Playoffs are right around the corner. You need to open yourself up to more things to talk about, more things to watch. Because if you are just a football fan, you're not well-rounded. You're not really going to understand what sports are about. Football is fun. Football is a great thing to talk about, but sports in general, it's so much to open yourself into.
Not that we won't talk about the NFL draft.
We'll talk about it.
There's enough football that we're still going to wind up talking about football year-round, even when there's other good stuff going on.
Exactly. I challenge you. Open your mind to other sports, other topics, other teams even. We are a Alabama-centered podcast.
But we also love to talk about things like curling and water polo and ice dancing.
Ice dancing. And you know what? Gosh darn it, I'm going to make y'all talk about WrestleMania next week.
It's still real to me, dang it.
We're going to talk about WrestleMania next week, guys. By the way, I got my dates wrong. We're not doing the Sideline Warning I Am Geek crossover. We're going to be on their show next week. We're still going to have a Sideline Warning next week, but the crossover for us will be in 2 weeks.
I'm gonna pick Hulk Hogan to win WrestleMania.
Oh my God!
The NWO is going to take the whole thing.
Wolfpack for life. Oh!
I'm tapping my fingers over here. Y'all can't see my frustrated face.
What's that, Dave? You're tapping out. Dave just tapped out. I think Adam, I'm going to tag you in to finish the match.
Ho!
All
right, guys.
No, anyway, go ahead.
No, okay. So that's our show for the week. I ask y'all every week to like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. If you are in Illinois, for say, Cameron Humphrey, and you are in the fan group and haven't subscribed to the podcast and there aren't any downloads in that state, I question you. Subscribe to the podcast, download the podcast, tell your friends about it, give us a rating on iTunes. Follow the podcast on Twitter at SW The Show. I am at DAdams419. Ben is at The Ben Foster. Adam is at Run Tide Run. You can like us on Facebook. You can also join the Facebook fan group, Sideline Warning Fan Group. Easy to find. Just ask to join. We will accept you, and then you can talk sports. You can talk wrestling. You can talk whatever you want. Just an open forum for people to talk with like-minded folks. I am also going to tell you to listen up, because next week we might have a special phone number to give out where you can call in and give us topics to talk about, and we will talk about it on air. We'll play your voicemail on air. It will probably be a Google Voice or something like that, but we will have it to where you can call in and give us stuff to talk about. But that's it, guys. That's your sports talk for the week. Go in there, find us on Instagram, find us on Facebook, find us on iTunes, find us on Twitter, find us on everywhere. We love you guys. We'll see you guys next week here on Sideline Morning, and Roll Tide.